The pen trembled in Maria's hand as she stared down at the white napkin, 4 letters forming in shaky blue ink. Help. She folded it quickly, her heart hammering against her ribs, and slipped it beneath the water glass at table 15 before anyone could see. The lunch rush at Giovanni's was in full swing, the clatter of dishes and buzz of conversation, masking the quiet desperation of a single mother who had run out of options. What she didn't know was that the man sitting at that table had built an empire on noticing what others overlooked, and her silent plea was about to change everything. Maria had been waitressing at Giovanni's Italian restaurant for 3 years, ever since her husband walked out on her and their 6-year-old daughter, Sophie. The tips were decent, the manager tolerant of her occasional tardiness when Sophie's asthma flared up, and the leftover pasta she brought home each night meant one less meal to worry about. But lately, everything had been falling apart faster than she could hold it together. Sophie's medication had doubled in price. The landlord had raised the rent. And yesterday, the clinic had called about an outstanding bill that needed to be paid before they'd refill her daughter's prescription. $300. It might as well have been $3 million. She'd spent the entire morning delivering orders on autopilot, her mind calculating and recalculating numbers that never added up. By the time she approached table 15 with the lunch special, her hands were shaking so badly she nearly dropped the plate. The man sitting alone was different from their usual clientele. While Giovanni's attracted a comfortable middle-class crowd, this customer wore a perfectly tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than her monthly salary. His salt and pepper hair was impeccably groomed, and when he looked up from his phone to thank her, his eyes were a striking blue that seemed to actually see her, not just through her the way most customers did. "Just the lasagna today," he'd said with a warm smile. "And please take your time. I'm in no rush." Something about his kindness, so simple and genuine, had cracked something inside her. That's when the desperate idea had formed. She'd heard stories, hadn't she? About people leaving massive tips, about strangers helping strangers. Maybe, just maybe, if someone knew she was drowning, they might throw her a rope. The napkin felt like both a confession and a betrayal of her pride as she set it down. She walked away quickly, attending to other tables, refilling drinks, forcing smiles while her stomach churned with shame and hope in equal measure. 20 minutes later, she returned to clear his plate. The napkin was gone. So was he. Her heart sank. Of course he'd ignored it. What had she expected? That some wealthy businessman would play fairy godfather to a desperate waitress? She blinked back tears and reached for his empty glass. That's when she saw it. A folded piece of paper tucked under the plate, held down by 5 crisp $100 bills. Her breath caught. With trembling fingers, she opened the note. "Meet me outside after your shift. Come alone. You're not in trouble." Table 15. Maria's shift ended at 3 o'clock. For the next 2 hours, she moved through her duties in a daze, the $500 burning in her apron pocket like a live coal. She counted it 3 times in the bathroom, convinced it would vanish. Who was this man? What did he want? Every horror story she'd ever heard about women meeting strangers warred with the crushing desperation of her situation. At 3:15, after changing out of her uniform, she pushed through Giovanni's front door into the autumn afternoon. The man from table 15 was leaning against a sleek black Mercedes, still in his suit, scrolling through his phone. When he saw her, he straightened and offered that same genuine smile. "You came," he said. "I wasn't sure you would." "I don't even know your name," Maria replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Marcus. Marcus Hale." He extended his hand, and she shook it mechanically. The name sounded vaguely familiar, but she couldn't place it. "And you're Maria. It says so on your name tag. Why did you give me this money? She pulled the bills from her pocket. I wasn't begging. I don't know what I was thinking. Marcus's expression softened. You were thinking you needed help and you were brave enough to ask for it. Do you know how rare that is? He gestured to a nearby bench. Will you sit with me for a moment? I promise you're safe. That restaurant is full of people, and I just want to talk. Against her better judgment, Maria sat. Marcus settled beside her, maintaining a respectful distance. 15 years ago, he began, staring out at the street. I was where you are. Not exactly, but close enough. Single dad, daughter with medical issues. Working 3 jobs and still couldn't make ends meet. I was delivering pizzas one night, and I broke down crying in my car outside a delivery. The customer, an older woman, came out and asked what was wrong. I told her everything. And do you know what she did? Maria shook her head. She gave me a check for $5,000 and her lawyer's business card. Told me she'd been watching me deliver to her house for months. Always on time, always polite, clearly exhausted. She said she'd made her money in real estate and had more than enough. The money was a gift, not a loan. But there was one condition. When I got on my feet, I had to pay it forward. Did you? Maria asked quietly. Marcus smiled. I built a software company that sold for $800 million 3 years ago. I've been paying it forward ever since. I invest in people, Maria, not businesses, not schemes. People who are trying, who are drowning through no fault of their own, who just need someone to believe in them. Maria's eyes filled with tears. I don't understand. You don't know me. I could be anyone. I watched you for 45 minutes today, Marcus said gently. I saw you comfort a crying child at table 7 while his parents argued. I saw you slip an extra breadstick to the elderly man dining alone. I saw you working with a smile even though your eyes were devastated. And then I saw your note. And I saw courage. He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. This is a check for $15,000. It's not a loan. Consider it an investment in a good person having a hard time. Maria couldn't breathe. I can't. That's too much. I only needed $300 for your daughter's medication, I know. I called the clinic and paid the bill. This is for everything else. Rent, groceries, maybe a small emergency fund. So you can sleep at night. The tears came then, unstoppable. This stranger had seen her, truly seen her, in a way she hadn't felt seen in years. Why? She sobbed. Why would you do this? Because someone did it for me, Marcus said simply. Because kindness isn't about what people deserve. It's about what we can do when we have the power to help. Because you're a mother doing her best, and that daughter of yours deserves to know that sometimes, when things seem darkest, light breaks through. 3 years later, Maria stood in the grand ballroom of the Hale Foundation's annual gala, her own business card in hand. The small catering company she'd started with Marcus's seed money and mentorship now employed 15 people, most of them single parents like she'd been. Sophie, healthy and thriving at 9 years old, was backstage preparing to present. Marcus with the foundation's humanitarian award. As Maria watched Marcus accept the honor with his characteristic humility, she thought about that napkin, those 4 desperate letters, and how one person's willingness to see another's humanity had created ripples that kept spreading outward. She'd helped 3 families herself this year, passing forward the gifts she'd been given. The world could be cruel and cold, but it could also be this. A billionaire who noticed a plea for help, a mother who found courage in desperation, and the chain of kindness that connected them both to everyone who came after. Sometimes salvation came not from grand gestures, but from simple humanity, from one person deciding that another person's struggle mattered. And it all started with a napkin at table 15.